Now, a businessman, Chris Azawodi, has dragged the Universal Merchant Bank to Accra High Court as part of efforts to block the distribution of 100 buses to constituency executives of the governing NPP. Now, he alleges in his writ that he secured a loan facility in excess of $3 million to procure the buses for onward sale to the party. These form part of the 275 buses the NPP chairman Freddie Blay promised to distribute to constituencies prior to the election. Mr. Azawodi wants the court to order the bank to immediately release the buses to him instead of the NPP. More in this report.
In the writ filed at the Accra High Court, lawyers of the businessman maintain that there was an agreement between his company and the Universal Merchant Bank for the granting of a loan in the sum of $3,393,000 US. JoyNews has cited a letter suggesting such a loan was granted. The lawyers maintain that the said facility was to purchase 100 Toyota Hiace PDL and TH1 2017 model buses for onward sale to the New Patriotic Party as part importation for a total contract sum of $11,412,500 US for 275 buses. The plaintiff says he, as managing director, personally had to travel to Dubai on many occasions to ensure the buses were imported into Ghana. According to the lawyers, UMB, the defendant, had subsequently refused to deliver the buses to the plaintiff, regardless of the many demands on the defendant to the express terms of the agreement. The writ says it is believed that the UMB is in the process of offloading the said buses to a third party, which is alien to the agreement, and in consequence denying the plaintiff his right to receive the buses as contemplated by and contained in the said agreement. The businessman is praying the court to grant the following requests. 1. A declaration that the 100 buses are his property. 2. A declaration that the buses are products of the loan facility and that the clearing of these buses at the port for the benefit of another entity is unlawful. An order directed at the Universal Merchant Bank to release the buses to the plaintiff, and an order directed at the bank from dealing with any third party to manage the 100 buses.
Right now, project coordinator at the Center for Democratic Development, Dr. Kojo Pumpuni Asante, has expressed skepticism at the recent claim by Chris Azawodi that the 275 buses at the center of the vote-buying scandal involving NPP chairman Freddie Blay actually belong to him. In an interview earlier today, the project officer for Corruption Watch said he hoped the claim was not a ruse to distract from the serious issue of alleged vote buying.
And most recently, somebody turned up and said, you know, those buses that Freddie Blay has been taken to Shraj over. He says, well, actually, he owns the buses and is suing Freddie Blay and a number of other respondents over.
And where was he all this while when Mr. Freddie Blay was campaigning?
I don't know, out of coverage area. But I mean, the important question is, what does this actually mean? What are your thoughts on this new development in this process?
First of all, I hope it's not a ruse to sort of sidetrack us from, for me, what I consider a very egregious violation of our electoral rules. I mean, we should not allow this kind of monetization of our democracy. Otherwise, this democracy will not go anywhere. You allow this to pass, and then it opens the floodgates. Just recently, I think the MPs were talking about the monetization of politics. We did a study. We showed that between 2012 and 2016, the cost of standing and being elected to Parliament had moved by 57%, and it cost you $85,000, and that was just a very conservative estimate. You know, you can think that people are paying somehow $200,000 to get elected. An MP salary will not even, for 2 years, will not do that. So you have to ask yourself, if this is the price that people are paying to go and serve others, what kind of democracy are we building? So for me, this is a very serious matter. If somebody had gone and sued and claimed, you know, that these are buses, and I think I'm reading the story, and there was a suggestion that the bank had basically breach some contract and so on. I mean, I'll be shocked that the bank would do something like that. These people should be hauled before the Bank of Ghana for very illegal practices. But I'm not persuaded by this turn of events. I think this matter should be investigated by Shraj properly, and for us to get to the bottom of it. It was vote buying. My estimation is that it was complete vote buying, and it should be addressed as that.
And of course, this is very widespread in our politics.
Yeah,
it's almost accepted.
But you see, the 11 million is, for me, significant because it takes it to a different, and this is internal party primaries.
Yes.
So you can imagine what it means if it's escalated to national elections.
Yeah.
It will be really problematic. So I think there has to be clear rules that this is not acceptable, and so that people don't follow, and that these are the sanctions if you engage in this.
Okay, so clearly for this case, you expect Shraj to look into it.
It has to look.
But on the long term, what should be the solution to this?
No, they are, for me, so we have suggested that, for example, we have to have a time period, an election, what do you call it? We have to have a time period for campaigning.
Right.
If it's 6 months to the time, so that you are not campaigning 2 years before election and spending all this money. We need to think about campaign financing laws, cap expenditure. For advertisement, for instance, you can track, because where are they going to advert? They're going to come to you. So you can cap how much advert. We have to reduce the cost. Otherwise, if we don't do it, first, our democracy is going to be hijacked by the person who can pay the most.
Yeah.
And then we know that if they are going to have to raise all this money, as soon as they get into office, they are going to give our procurement, which are not competitive. It's all going to be restricted tender and sole sourcing. And we're not going to get the benefits of our taxes that we pay. So it's a really a big threat to a democracy that already people are agitating is not delivering. So we are risking a lot by allowing these kinds of infractions to take place.